All right, so welcome back to the show. Today we have a very, very great story, a great guest. This is somebody from from car sales actually, and this person has only been doing this for about 3 or 4 years, and she has already become the number one car salesperson for Chevy in the entire country. So, Viola, welcome to the show. I'm excited to share your story with the audience.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm excited too. Kind of nervous a little bit, but
We'll have some fun with it.
awesome.
So you've been selling cars for about 3 years. Is that right?
Yes. I've
Okay.
been 3 years. Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about what you were doing prior to that, because I'm very interested to see, because I think your success has probably been coming along for a very long time before you even got into car sales. And I think car sales was just the vehicle, no point intended, to help you reach these levels of success. So let's rewind for a second. What were you doing before you got into car sales?
So, Brandon, I worked for Art Van for 5 years. So I was a chairman over there as well. I loved furniture. I loved everything about that company. So I had Ryan, one of my managers, which I'm working with him as we speak right now. So he's used to be my customer. They used to say, Viola, come to our dealership, come over, try car sales. I said, Ryan, I love furniture. I loved everything about this company. So I said, oh, let me think, then all of a sudden, Art Van ran out the business. So Ryan was devastating for me and my family, of course, but I always believe in God. And Ryan saw it on the TV and he texted me, he said, Viola, please, before you go anywhere else, try us. I love to have you on our team. So I said, okay, Ryan, let me think. I went home, talked to my husband, and was doing the COVID when everybody closing the doors. That's the door open for me and I said, you know what? I'm going to try it. I love sales. I love selling. So then I worked there. I started doing the COVID. At the time, everything was the customers were outside. We selling the cars inside. I remember my first day. I sold the first car, and Ryan said, "Yes, Viola." Then all of a sudden, and end of the day, I sold 9 cars.
Wow.
That was like very excited, and the rest is the history.
Yeah. So all right. So let's unpack that a little bit. Let's get into that. So going back to your days of selling furniture at Art Van, it's funny. A lot of great salespeople come from selling furniture. I think that people find out once they love sales, they can get into other industries and probably make a lot more money than selling furniture. So, just for context, you were selling furniture for 5 years. What type of maybe income did that represent for you and your family for the past 5 years before we talked about kind of what things look like today?
I mean, the income I can say was okay. I realized when I got in car business, there was way more. I always say the sky is the limit.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm standing right now. But yeah, I love selling cars. And I always say right now, I wish I did this before, that
that's
was,
right.
yeah. And, but things happen for a reason,
Yeah.
that's who you are, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for about 3 years. You sold in 2022, I think, over 1,600 vehicles in 1 year, which averages about 125 cars a month. Last month, I think you sold over 150 cars in 1 month. Is that right?
Yes. Was 165.
165. So the question that I have, that I'm sure the audience is very curious about, because it doesn't matter what industry we are in, you are what we call a statistical anomaly. I mean, you are in the 1% of 1%. And so obviously the question is how? How are these results possible? So let's start off with what are you doing, Viola, that is so different that allows you to reach these levels of success when there's a lot of good people in car sales that would love to sell 165 cars in a month, but they can't. So walk us through, what are you doing? What are the secrets to your success?
So, Brandon, when I walk in that door, I treat that business like my own. I pick every customer. I don't cherry pick or anything like that. I treat everybody with respect. You know, when they walk in, I make them feel comfortable. And my main thing, I tell them, listen, I don't want to sell only you a car. I want to sell your daughter, your son, your neighbor, and your friends. You know, that's my main goal there. So, I mean, it comes, working hard, giving respect to people. I always believed in that. And that's where most of my success comes. I have a lot of referrals, a
Yeah.
lot of people. So
So is that where most of your business comes from? Is you help somebody, you give them a phenomenal experience, and then they tell everybody, "Hey, you've got to go talk to Viola." Is that kind of how you're getting your business and getting your customers?
for most part, yes, the walk-in, the appointments, for the most of that is like people talking to like neighbor. That's how I get the most, especially right now because it's been 3 years. You have that repeat clientele and you have all that coming back to you.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that too, because that's what we call a sales pipeline, right? And so obviously you guys talk about that in your industry too. Let's go back to when you first started though, before you got the referrals, before you got the repeat customers. What were you doing in the beginning, that maybe set yourself up for success in that first year? Because how many cars did you sell in your first year? Do you remember roughly?
Seven around like 700.
700. I mean, that still was phenomenal year. So, what was it when you didn't have a customer base yet? What were you doing in the early days?
So phone calls, everybody walks on the door, I grab everybody. And for me, when you walk on the door, you're there to buy a car. I always say, what's holding back? How we can make it happen? Please help me so I can make it happen. Like I always be very upfront with them. Then they'll let you like say, hey, that's where you are. And that's the most success, but that's how it is. Like every walk in, every phone call I pick up, I I walk there, never get a lunch. I just snack here and there, but that's how it is. So
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you're bringing up a couple good specific sales tactical things. In what I heard you say was you're not afraid to ask people, what's holding you back, which means to me that you're not afraid of rejection, that you're okay if someone says yes, and you're okay if someone says no, and you're fine either way. But because you're asking, we get in life what we have the courage to ask for. And that's what you're finding. Is that true?
yes, I always say I'll never get the answer for no. I'll never do it. I'm always in front of you and I say, what's like, I'll not get a no until you help me how to sell your car.
Yeah. Yeah. So what in the car business, I know which I think is a maybe there's upsides and downsides to every business. But in the car business, what I heard you say was there's a lot of people coming to you, right? So a lot of people walk into the store, a lot of people call into the store. Have you had to do any outbound sales or marketing on your own, or are you getting most of your customers from the dealership?
The most of the customers from the dealership.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I don't advertise anything out of that. I do have a Facebook page or Instagram page, Fellman too, but that's about that, nothing
yeah.
out of that.
So, I mean, you've got a lot of opportunity. I mean, so if you sold, let's just say 165 cars last month, how many would you say are from, the repeat and referrals versus people you've never sold a car to before? Is it 50-50? Would you say it's majority referral? What is it?
Maybe I can say 50-50. For
Yeah.
most part, it's 50-50.
Yeah. So I think that's a huge, huge piece for people listening to this, because that means that you sold about 80 cars last month to people that you helped last year and the year before that and the year before that, or they sent you a referral. What are you doing, Viola, after you sell a car? So Bob and Jane come in, they lease they get a Traverse from you for 2 years. Are you doing anything to stay in touch with them over that 2 year period of time so that when 2 years comes up, they come back to see you? Or are you just sitting back and hoping they come back and see you?
So what I do have two assistants that work with me. So after they leave the dealership, I thank them for their business, and I say, if you do come back again with a Chevy, please come and see us. And also, we have GM sends us like 6 months prior to their lease. It sends all the customer bases. So then I'll shoot them either a text message or email and say, hey, you're coming up to your lease. Please reach out to us. I'd be more than happy to help. So
Yeah.
that's stuff we do.
Yeah. I mean, if I've always said, and I've had so many dealerships reach out to me wanting me to do sales training, that to me, I think that car salespeople are so, and you tell me, I want your feedback here. But to me, they're so focused on who's walking in the door today, and they forget about all the cars that they've sold in the past. And the cars they sold in the past probably represent, to your point, as much of an opportunity or more than sitting around waiting for someone to walk in the door. In other words, if I was in car sales, all I would be doing is calling people who I sold a car to or other salespeople who we sold a car to in the dealership in the past and saying, hey, what are you looking at doing next? And oh, by the way, who do you know that needs help getting into this type of vehicle? And so is that a common practice? Is that uncommon for people to do that in your industry?
I mean, it's 50-50. I always believe when people ask me, I believe in foundation. You got to build that with the customers. You have to say, hey, like you have to let them trust you and respect you so they always remember you for that. But
Yeah.
besides, it's like 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. It surprises me because I think that, the language in which people use in car sales versus other sales, I just can't imagine how much more successful car salespeople would be if they treated people more like a client. Where if I sold somebody on a 2-year lease, I want you to coach me for a second. All right. So if I lease somebody a 2-year lease, what I would be doing is I'd be calling them in probably 3 months to make sure that they got their first oil change. I'd be calling them in 6 months. I'd be calling them on their birthday. I'd be calling them on their spouse's birthday. I'd be sending their kids cards with scratch offs on it to have fun. I would be staying in touch with that person over that entire 2-year lease so that I virtually guaranteed another car sale. And oh, by the way, I'm staying top of mind for that entire 2-year period. So at any time one of their friends or their family members thinks about buying a car, it's an easy, call my guy, call my girl. But I don't know if that is common practice with salespeople in the car business. Is it?
Not for everybody. I can say 40% of the people are like that. So, but not for everybody.
Yeah. And so you've got obviously a team now. You've got assistants that's helping you with a lot of repeat business, which is great. As you look ahead, as you start to look further into your future, what are some of the things that you're working on to make sure that you are not only helping your customers, but helping to grow your business in the future as well?
I mean, like I said, you got to treat that business like it's yours. You got to stay on top of that. Like you said, got base to base with the customers, send them email, see how they doing, like if they're ready for the oil change and stuff like that. That's my main thing to do with the customer.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so I guess if somebody, you've been in sales because you're at Art Van, you've been in car sales for 3 years, Art Van before that. I don't know what you were doing before that, but I guess let me ask you this. For somebody getting into sales, maybe they're a brand new person, and regardless of the industry, Viola, what advice would you give that person to help that person succeed as a new salesperson?
I can say you have to take a risk and no fear.
Mm, yeah,
That's,
that's great.
yeah. So you have to take the risk.
And taking the risk for you, meaning taking the risk to go into sales. Is that what you mean? Because it's 100% commission or whatever. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Go into sales. So bring yourself up so that way you can succeed on it. So like, don't take no for answer. Always be yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, it comes with the working hard and everything else, what you put into it and all that
Yeah,
to
for
make
sure.
it.
Yeah. How much do you guys work on your skills, maybe at your store or just in the car sales business in general? Do you guys work on sales skills much, or is everybody just kind of on their own and they've got their own unique way of doing it?
It's pretty much, we do have a team which we have a meeting every morning, and we have our like how to like go based of the day by day. But beside that, everybody is in their own. Sales is like individual. It's like who you are, what do you put in, how you're gonna face that customer. It's just mostly like
Yeah.
individual, I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, we appreciate you coming on the show. I just, you continue to produce amazing results. And so, what is your goal for 2023? I know last year you sold. Let me get the number right. I think the last year you did 1,618 cars sold. What is your goal for 2023?
I mean, I'm trying to hit, maybe like I'm trying to say every month I'm trying to hit that 200 car. So I'm working on it. So that's my goal to move forward.
Yeah. And if you're comfortable sharing, you don't have to share your personal finances, but if a car salesperson, sells 100 cars in 1 month, put you aside, on average, what kind of income are we talking about that person can make if they sell 100 cars in a month?
I mean, I can say between 3 to 400 a
Thousand?
year. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. If they're selling 100 cars a month,
Yes.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And again, I know you guys work a lot of hours, but I think the great thing about that business, to your point, is the dealership, I think, does a nice job of bringing in opportunities. And then it's
Yeah.
up to you on how hard you want to work that will determine those results. So listen, Viola, we want to thank you so much. And if people are looking or watching the show and they want to buy a car, they're here in Metro Detroit, where can they find you? Feldman Chevrolet in Novi?
Yes. Feldman Chevrolet of Novi.
Awesome. I will put all of your information beneath this video. So if you guys are listening or watching the show and you need a car, go see Viola in person. She'll take great care of you. But Viola, appreciate you spending a few minutes with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate you. Have a
Take
good day.
care. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.